it's Linda from Lányos Handmade, and today we're going to try some cut and sews again. These ones are from Cork and Copper Designs, and it's for the Wolfsbane pouch. I've got two different designs here. One is the Stabby Cats. Don't know if you can see both of them. Hopefully you can. And the other one is the Cuties. Are they all different? Yeah, every single one is different. So, yeah, and there's a real big one here too. So check out her website because they've got new designs out too, besides these ones. They're for the Wolfsbane pouch, like I said, and the Wolfsbane, the pattern itself comes in 4 sizes. And so, of course, when you buy the cut and sews, you get the 4 sizes. You know, the small, medium, large, and I've made the extra large here. So check out the website. I'll leave the link below because she does have lots of different designs there. So we're going to sew this up, and I didn't do any hacks with this one this time, so the handle is in the pattern. The labels are all in the pattern. If you want to add in some special labels, they're in the pattern. And like I said, it's great. You can get 4 sizes, so you could have a whole set of these. Make 1 or 2 or make a whole bunch. Check out the links below, and I'll put links there for the groups and the pattern and the cut and sews and the materials I used. Hardware, little cat hardware. And I guess we should just start sewing. All right, today we're going to make a Wolfsbane Zipper Pouch. And it's from a cut and sew, so she's got these lovely labels on here. When you buy a cut and sew, it's got, well, you know, you buy a pattern, you have to cut out the pieces, and then you have to cut out your material. But when you buy a pattern and a cut and sew, you buy the pattern and you cut the pieces out of your material that you've purchased. So I've got a few of them here. There's 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th one, the extra large, of the Stabby Cat. And then the other one I've got is the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Cuties. And that's how they arrive. It's got extra little labels on here too. I'm not going to be able to roll that up without losing something here. So they've got extra little labels that come with it too. I'm going to use one of these Made in Canada labels. And this is the other piece that we need, which is for the zipper tab. The only extra I had cut out was this water-resistant Oxford. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Of course, all the links are going to be in the comments below in the description. So if you really want to find out what these materials are, the links will be down there. So this is going to be my lining. It's pretty sturdy, and this is going to be my outside. There are 2 different pictures, and I'm going to scrap together some of this foam and use it with this layer, just in case. I'll wait and see as I'm going along whether it's too stiff or not. But I think the only thing... Oh, and I've got an extra little label here, so I'll put one of these on here. That's cute. And extra little label here. Now this one's meant to be folded in half and put in the seam allowance. So I'm just going to put that in there so that there's a little label inside, because I've already got the Made in Canada label for the outside layer. And what else do we have? Oh, that's right, our zipper tab. So the first step to do here is to get our zippers sorted out. I've got my zipper and my pull and my zipper tab. And I have to sort out my foam. So I'm just going to take a minute and cut my zipper to the right length, and then we can start working on our little pouch, our Wolfsbane pouch. So I put in a universal needle. We'll see if that does the trick. I don't think I'm sewing anything that's too heavy here. This is the heaviest I have. And it sews through really nicely. And actually it's a beautiful stitch because I just got this machine back from the shop. So I'm very happy with that. So always test your needle, test your thread, test your materials. And I'm going to put this pull on here, but I want to make sure that my foot is running this way. And I never can figure these things out half the time until I try them, but sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. What I want to do is have my pull running up there. So I'm going to do it this way and see if that's the right way. Yes, that's the right way. So that's the way I want it to hang. Now, where's my tab gone? There it is. So I found my tab, and my pull runs this way. This end is going to be open. We're going to fold it back so that it's a bent in zipper end here. We don't want, I'm going to do it better afterwards, but just to show. So this end's going to be the open end, and our zipper pull is going to run up this way, so it's facing the right way. And the base of it, I want to sew this on, right sides together, just across there. So if this side is going to be the opening, this side will be the base. I've sewed it on right sides together. I fold it over, and I fold it over again, and I put it together. And then I sew it down so it's enclosed in there. And it's still the base, that's still the top, and that's what it's going to look like. All right, now the next step is to measure according to the pattern, because you need a certain amount of zipper exposed, and properly tack these down with the sewing machine so that they stay down while we're sewing our zipper on. So I'm going to get my little ruler out and make sure these are in the right spot. And my mother would be proud. I took the scraps and I put them together, and I've got the foam ready to go on here for both front and back. I'm just going to get some spray or maybe a double-sided tape just to hold this down, and a spray glue, something like that. And then these pieces will be ready, and then we can sew our zipper onto our pieces. Okay, we've got that sewed on. Now let's put our labels on. This one's going to be the outside, so I think I'll put something on the outside here. Just carefully sew it down the edge. And maybe I'll put this one on the inside. I don't know. You know, there's no rules. But if you have something like D-ring tabs or handles, you know, make sure you put them on first so that you can get the spacing nicely. This one I'm just going to do straight as. I'm hoping that this will be able to hold everything that I've been collecting in my little pouches. So hopefully this will work. So one inside on the lining, I'll tack it down here and it'll sit, and one outside sitting here. And I will also put on my own label here. Okay, all the labels are on now. let's baste a little handle onto the side of this here now. I'm just going to put it on the other side. It doesn't matter which side you put it on, just as long as you don't put it on the lining, because when this seam's sewed together, it'll just come out of that side seam, not any front or back. And I have not measured this. She gives measurements in the pattern, and I am being a little bit sloppy here. I'm just figuring that's going to look okay when we have that. So I'm going to stick this on now. Now let's baste the zipper on to our exterior panels. If you want, you can just directly sew them on. You don't have to baste them on. It's up to you. And since I have two different designs here for front and back, I have to decide which is going to be the front, which is going to be the back. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe let's make this the front. And if this was going to be the front, I would prefer to have my zipper open this way. So I'm going to put the pull on this side. And let's turn it over. I don't have any center marks marked here, or else I could decide this is where it belongs. So I'm going to clip it on, but I'm going to double check what the pattern says and make sure my center marks are in the right place. Also, she is, like I said, basting it first, and I'm not. I'm sewing it on first because I've done about 2,000 of these now, so I think I'll be okay. And this is a really easy material to sew with. So just sew across, put your zipper on, and then we'll move it to the other side, right sides together, and do the same, sew it across. I think I'm going to get my little center marks and make sure that the center marks are perfect for both of these. All right. The first side sewed on, the second side sewed on. You'll notice I did not do the correct seam allowance here because this is just the first pass. So just like basting, it's on there good, but it's not quite in the right spot. And the seam allowance is going to be fixed when we sew the next layer. Although I do like how much that zipper tape is exposed there. That's cute. So now we shall put on the next layer. Now, of course, when I'm doing the next layer, I just finished saying which is the front and which is the back, right? And there's also a front and a back for the lining. Well, in my head, there is anyway. I'd like this to be the front, so that means this is the back. So that means I want my back on my back. Like that. Now, of course, I'm not going to sew it like that. I want to flip it over and sew it like this. So again, I'm going to check where my measurements are. Make sure I sew it on properly, because I've got it, look, I've got it pulled over too far on this side. So I'm going to check and see where I'm placing this thing with my ruler or tape measure. But basically this is what we're doing. We're attaching it here. And when we're going to sew it with proper seam allowance, and then when we open it up, you're going to have the outside and the inside. So let's get the first one done, and then we can do the second one. Okay, I've sewed across the top from one edge to the other edge, and I was just shy of the seam allowance that she was requesting because my zipper foot wouldn't let me go any closer. But that's okay, because I do like the fact that I've got a little bit more of this fancy zipper tape showing. So this is the back all done. Now I can do the front. Of course, the front has to go on here, but we want it to be nice like this. So I'm going to clip across here. I'm going to make sure it's placed properly. I'll measure it and everything, because I think it's a bit lopsided again. But just to show you, it's clipped on, it'll be sewed. And then we'll have the inside look like that. We'll have the outside look like that. So I'm just going to double check this and sew it across. Okay, we're all set now. Oop, There's a big, huge thread. There's two of them. There's one on the other side. Let's get that one too. My machine did not like going over top of my zipper, but I succeeded. And I've got it sewed on. So our outside is done. Like that, it's sewed on. And our inside is done. Like that, it's sewed on. So now we are going to top stitch, but we don't top stitch from end to end. Otherwise, our corners are going to look chewed up. So let's just top stitch from inside the zipper here to this tab. And then we can top stitch the exterior and the interior layers together. I like opening things up and really squeezing this down and clipping it. And that keeps it there nicely so that we can top stitch just right inside the zipper to the tab. And the other thing sometimes that helps is if I pull this nicely and put a little bit of double-sided tape down here, because then it'll stick it down. Because if you've got it top stitched and is crooked, or this is higher, or there's too much gap or something, you know, it's not going to work out very well. So I'm just going to clip all the top here and maybe put some double-sided tape underneath so that I can top stitch just from the tab to the zipper. All right, I've done my top stitching, and I have a little foot called a bi-level foot that one half the foot is higher and one's lower, so it's really easy to sew along here because the lower part sits in the zipper and the higher part goes on this little ridge. So it makes pretty nice top stitching. Now I did put in clips and I did put in double-sided tape just a bit to hold it down, pull it apart, right? The other thing that I have not done that apparently people think it's a bad thing and I shouldn't do it, but it doesn't really make much difference, is cutting these things off, because, you know, sometimes I leave them there. Sometimes I forget, and it doesn't really make any difference to the pouch whether it's on there or not. I've never felt it through the layers that there's a zipper inside. But I remembered this time for you, so there you go. I cut the zipper ends off. And the other thing about this one is there's no foam in it yet. So I'm going to get some spray glue now that I've gone this far. And pretty soon we're going to sew up the sides. And if that happens, I will totally forget to put in the foam. So I'm going to cut this a little bit here so it's room at the bottom here for the seam allowance and things like that. And I'm going to get some spray glue and stick it on there. And that's on both sides. And then after I have it on there, then I can get the seams together. Yeah, see, this one's a little bit big too. So what seams we're putting together here are the two outside layers. And then the two inside layers. And we're going to sew, this is the outside, we're going to sew here and here and just the bottom and leave these corners open. And on this piece we're going to sew here and here, and you have to leave an opening at the bottom here, right? So we're just going to sew a little bit at the bottom because that's what we turn through. And when we come up to the top, I don't like doing this in one stitch line. I like to, because it kind of pulls this way, I like to sew from the bottom up as close as I can to here and stop. And then I back stitch or tie it off or something. And the same with this one. sew as close as you can to here. From here to here and stop. And then back stitch or tie off your ends. You won't go over top of this bump. And I always find it works better that way. And when you're sewing as close as you can here, make sure, I stick my hand in here and I see, make sure that you're not sewing over top of anything, because there's a zipper in there, there's a zipper pull, there's all sorts of lovely things you can run into. So even if you have to reduce the width of your seam allowance here, don't worry about it. Just go as close as you can and don't sew over top of anything. Just sew these two layers together only. So I'm going to sew that, the parts I'm supposed to, and I'm going to glue this on. I think I'm going to put it on this side. And then after I'll bring it back and I'll show you how we turn it. Now I was just going to say before I go too much farther here, I've done the bottom and the sides and the sides. And the bottom's open still. Now's your chance to take a peek and see what it's going to look like, if it's all chewed up or if it's nice. It might be hard for you to see, but I can see it looks good. So, and it's not as concerning the inside as the outside. So if the outside looks good when you fold it around, you know, you're headed on the right track. If you don't like the way it looks, now's your chance to change it. Okay? Because it gets harder and harder the more we go along. And this one looks okay too. Okay, so I'm going to sew the bottom just a little bit to anchor it. Don't want to sew too much because I've got to pull everything through here. Okay, I've sewed just about an inch or so, a couple of centimeters on the bottom here, and now I can stick my hand in. I hope you left your zipper open, and pull everything out. It's going to be weird with the foam. The foam might let go. I put the foam on the lining instead of the outside, but I don't think, if it's not sewn in, I don't think it's ever going to hold very well. And let's see how this looks. Yep, that's good. Okay, next steps. We have to match these up. These are our corners, and we're going to sew them. Now let's make one seam go one way and one go the other way, because then they'll butt against each other. Now the bottom one I want to face in the same direction on both sides. And you can see the bottom's going to be facing the same way. Now on this side we do the same thing. Okay, let's sew up those four corners. Just this way straight. Okay, let's turn this out again before my foam really lets go, which it's going to. I know it is, I know it is, I know it is. Okay, I'm going to sew this up here. And then after, shove it inside. Okay, I've got the bottom sewn. Now I can turn it. Well, that looks good. Let's pull this up a bit. Now, if you have a little bit of gap in here, like a hole, you've done well, because you haven't sewed anything into your corner. And there we go. So how'd that go? What size did you make? Please share. I'd love to see. We all love to see what everybody makes. I'll put the links below for the groups that you can post in or follow along and get some inspiration. Maybe you'll see some other designs that you might like. So thank you, Cork and Copper Designs, for the pattern. And I'm really enjoying my cut and sews here. I'm going to start making the rest of them now, so I have a whole set. Thanks for watching.